Before value, there is attention. Before profit, there is belief. Markets don't reward usefulness. They reward focus. In the mid-1970s, when America was tired of seriousness, someone realized the fastest way into the economy wasn't through innovation, but through humor. No function, no technology, just an object placed inside the right story. Because when people are exhausted, they don't want solutions. They want relief. And that's how a joke, taken seriously, turned into nothing. Into a fortune. What happens when the thing being sold does absolutely nothing? Yet everyone wants one. The story begins in 1975, not inside a boardroom or a factory, but inside a bar. America was in a strange emotional recession. The Vietnam War had ended. Watergate had poisoned trust. Inflation was rising, wages were flat, and optimism felt expensive. People weren't dreaming big. They were coping. This was an era before viral marketing, before social media, before digital hype cycles. Yet the same forces still ruled the economy: attention, timing, and psychology. Gifts mattered. Conversation starters mattered. Humor, especially self-aware humor, mattered. Into this moment stepped Gary Dahl, a freelance copywriter with no company, no capital, and no product in the traditional sense. He wasn't trying to disrupt an industry. He wasn't chasing the scale. He was listening. Listening to friends complain about their dogs. The feeding, the walking, the cleaning, the responsibility. And then came the joke. The perfect pet, he said, is a rock. Most jokes die where they're born. This one didn't, because Dahl saw something others missed. He understood that people weren't shopping for utility. They were shopping for relief, for irony, for something that mocked the seriousness of consumer culture itself. What followed wasn't a novelty product. It was an early experiment in something far more powerful: the ability to turn collective attention into value. And the real story wasn't the rock. It was the system built around it. The idea didn't arrive as a business plan. It arrived as laughter. Gary Dahl wasn't an entrepreneur chasing opportunity. He was a freelance copywriter, someone trained to sell ideas, not manufacture things. In 1975, copywriters lived on the edge of culture. They listened. They noticed patterns. They understood how words could turn indifference into desire. That night at the bar, as his friends complained about their pets, Dahl didn't invent a solution. He inverted the problem. What if the perfect pet required nothing? No feeding, no walking, no cleaning, no emotional labor. Just presence. The rock wasn't funny because it was absurd. It was funny because it was honest. But here, the pivot, the moment where jokes usually stop and businesses begin. Dahl didn't leave it as a punchline. He treated the idea with discipline. He asked the questions real businesses ask. How is it packaged? How is it priced? What story does it tell when no one is explaining it? The rock itself was meaningless. He sourced them from a construction supplier for about 1 cent each. Identical, replaceable, worthless on their own. So he didn't sell the rock. He sold interpretation. Dahl wrote a 32-page pet rock training manual, not instructions, rituals. How to teach your rock to sit. How to teach it to stay. How to discipline it by doing nothing. The manual transformed an object into an experience. Then came the packaging, a small cardboard carrier, minimal, cheap, but with air holes punched into the sides so the pet could breathe. That detail mattered, because systems of value are built on signals. And this one told buyers, we're all in on the joke together. The foundation was set quietly. No ads, no investors, no hype machine. Just a simple object, wrapped in narrative, timed perfectly to a culture that was tired of taking everything seriously. A seed planted in exhaustion. The explosion didn't happen slowly. It happened all at once. Within weeks of its release in late 1975, the pet rock stopped being a product and became a signal. Stores didn't reorder because customers needed one. They reordered because customers were talking. Gift shops were the first domino, then toy stores, then department stores. The rock moved through retail the way rumors move through a crowd, fast, untraceable, and impossible to stop. In just 6 months, over 1.5 million pet rocks were sold. At $3.95 each, roughly $20 today, the margins were absurd. The rock cost a penny. The box cost cents. The manual cost ink and paper. What people were paying for wasn't material, it was participation. At the peak of the craze, Gary Dahl was earning roughly $95 per minute. Not per hour. Per minute. This wasn't growth through innovation. It was growth through synchronization. America was laughing together. The timing was everything. 1975 was heavy. War memories were fresh. Trust in institutions was broken. Inflation made seriousness feel cruel. The pet rock gave people permission to laugh at consumer culture while still participating in it. Television amplified the effect. Newspapers wrote about it because it was unexplainable. Late-night hosts joked about it, which only made it stronger. The more people mocked it, the more valuable it became. Because ridicule is still attention. But like all attention-based systems, it burned hot and fast. Within a year, competitors flooded the market. Copycats appeared. The joke aged. The cycle moved on. Dahl didn't fight the decline. He didn't try to build an empire. He exited. With millions in profit, he walked away before belief collapsed. The power shift was complete, not from product to brand, but from utility to perception. And the economy quietly took notes. The genius of the pet rock was never the rock. It was the mechanism. Gary Dahl didn't create value. He redirected attention. The first hidden lever was pricing psychology. At $3.95, the pet rock wasn't cheap enough to feel disposable and not expensive enough to feel risky. It sat in the perfect psychological middle, the price of a joke you could justify without thinking. The second lever was narrative dominance. The 32-page manual did what marketing usually fails to do. It gave people language. Buyers didn't need to explain the product. The story explained itself. Every owner became a distributor, every laugh a referral. Then there was social proof. The pet rock wasn't useful alone, but it was powerful in public, on desks, at parties, as gifts. Its value increased the moment someone else recognized it. This is the same dynamic that fuels collectibles, fashion drops, and digital assets today. Most importantly, Dahl understood something most businesses miss. People don't pay for objects. They pay to feel included. This is the birth of the gimmick economy, where attention is the raw material, emotion is the engine, and belief is the margin. Modern parallels are everywhere. NFTs with no cash flow. Memecoins like Dogecoin. Limited drops that sell out before utility exists. The pet rock proved it first. If you can capture collective attention, utility becomes optional. And once attention moves on, so does value. The pet rock didn't change the economy. It exposed it. Because behind every joke purchase was a tired person, someone overwhelmed by seriousness, someone who wanted to give a gift without obligation, humor without consequence, ownership without responsibility. The pet rock fit modern identity perfectly. It asked nothing. It judged nothing. It demanded no care. And in return, it gave people permission to step outside productivity culture, if only for a moment. Every purchase was a quiet protest against usefulness. against the idea that everything must justify itself with output. For workers, it was a reminder that value is not tied to effort. For consumers, it was proof that meaning can be constructed instantly. For businesses, it was a warning and a blueprint. Because once people realize value is a story, not a substance, the rules change. This isn't about stupidity or genius. It's about systems. We live inside economies where identity is assembled through purchases, where humor becomes currency, and where belief, not labor, often decides who wins. No heroes, no villains, just structures that reward those who understand human behavior before they understand production. Every paycheck still carries this lesson. Every purchase still echoes it. Value is rarely found. It is agreed upon. A rock didn't make Gary Dahl rich. Understanding people did. He saw exhaustion before others saw opportunity. He recognized that attention is more valuable than effort, and timing more powerful than intelligence. The pet rock was never about nothing. It was about everything we quietly agreed to believe. Because markets don't ask if something should be valuable. They ask how many people are willing to say it is. Today, the gimmicks are digital. The jokes move faster. The cycles burn hotter. But the mechanism hasn't changed. So the next time something useless becomes priceless, ask yourself, is this stupid? Or is it simply honest? If you enjoyed this breakdown, leave your thoughts in the comments. Share it with someone who still believes value must be logical. And subscribe, because the most powerful stories in business are never about products. They're about perception. And that story is still being written.